Hi guys, welcome back. I'm Vanessa Flores. I'm the owner of Colors of Austin Counseling, and today we're going to be interviewing Natalia Amari, licensed master social worker here in Austin, Texas. Hi Natalia.
Hello.
Thank you for being here.
It's so nice to be here with you.
I'm so glad that you're doing this. I just wanted to spend some time with you around the work that you do and kind of get to know you and what you do here in Austin. And so tell us about you and your practice and the work that you do with clients.
Sure. So I predominantly work with women around relational trauma, and essentially relational trauma, some people ask about that, is when someone that you know has hurt you or someone has hurt you rather than something like a natural disaster or like a car accident or something like that. So predominantly I work with people around domestic violence, sexual violence, adult survivors of childhood abuse, that kind of thing. And within that, I think what I really love about that is working through kind of some of the relational dynamics that show up for people whenever they've gone through something like that, being hurt by someone in their life, whether that was a parent or some kind of attachment figure or someone they loved or just a friend. So yeah, that's the work that I love doing, is helping people navigate their relationship to themselves, because that's something that gets affected in that space, as well as their relationship to other people.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Do you primarily work with women?
I do. I don't mean to, but I do.
Yeah, that's just kind of how it falls.
Yeah, I kind of like to joke actually that I want the space with me, the relationship, the therapy space, to feel like you're going to your best girlfriend who happened to go to therapy school.
Yeah.
And that's what I want it to feel like. So a lot of my, the way that I talk online, the way I even talk as a person is kind of from that angle of like, kind of being like a girlfriend. And so if a guy came through and really wanted to work with me, I would feel like, okay, cool, it's meant to be. Yeah. So I don't, there's no hard lines with that, but yeah. I do kind of speak girl.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, that's awesome. So what is trauma? I think that word, especially nowadays, is coming up a lot. And so how do you define that and talk about that with clients?
Sure. So I really feel like it's not really for us to label what trauma is. I mean, we do try to label these things. We try to understand them, try to give words to different experiences that people have in order to understand, study them, find resources, all that stuff. That's valuable. But I think for people just with themselves, it doesn't have to be like trauma with a capital T, like a hurricane or physical abuse or something like that to still be perceived as trauma. So I think the important thing is whether or not your system, your psyche, your body is perceiving something as a trauma. And that could be something that it just really feels like, oh my gosh, like if this thing happens, or if this relationship ruptures, or if there's some kind of event that takes place that feels really harmful, that it's really going to harm you. Yeah. And so I think that's the biggest thing, is whether or not you feel you've gone through something that feels like it's really rocking your world. I mean, really in the simplest terms. I think we can get into the space of trying to label, trying to go, oh, well, I didn't experience that, so therefore what I experienced is not traumatic enough. And I don't really think that it needs to be that way. I think if you feel in your gut that you've gone through something really tough, that's the space to reach out for help, and you're the best judge of that.
I think so many clients come in and they don't know exactly what they're feeling, but they know something's not okay within themselves. Yes. So what are some of the common signs that you see or that you hear about that you would tell a client or just anyone, hey, if that's happening more often than not, you should probably see someone?
Yeah, totally. So obviously there are the more like acute traumatic reaction kinds of stuff. So like experiencing nightmares or flashbacks, or things like not being able to sleep, or your sleep being affected in some way. Hypervigilance is a big one. Disassociation is a big one. A lot of avoidance. That's all stuff that's you can experience in a very acute way, in a very strong acute. But there's also longer term ways that those will show up. So if you're really avoidant in your life, your world might start to get really small, where it's hard to go out, hard to go see people, do things, and then the prospect of going and doing things like that becomes even more stressful for you to go do. So that's where, like, you may not be close to the trauma, and you may be feeling really quite removed from it, and you're like, oh, well, I'm having trouble hanging out with people, but it might have had origins in that original trauma. So I feel like there's short-term, like, acute things that happen, and then there are also things that happen that continue to happen down the road. And any of those things that happen at the beginning can be things that continue to happen down the road, or sometimes our bodies are like, you're not gonna, like, really have much of a reaction right now acutely after this trauma, because you need to go to work and function and whatever. And then later on in life, you feel safe with someone, you have a nice partner, you have a good work situation, things are feeling stable in your life, and then all of a sudden you start having, like, nightmares, or, you know, just, like, feeling jumpy about things or what have you.
So it can come up at different stages of your life. It's not necessarily right after the event.
Yeah, like that's really common. Yeah, because your body is so brilliant in a way. Your body is designed to protect you and to help you continue to survive. That doesn't necessarily mean you're thriving. I think that's a huge goal of therapy, is to try to help you thrive again.
Yeah.
But your body is designed to survive. So it will do whatever it needs to do in order to survive, and it works.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
That's so true. I've only recently learned about being in tune with my body, and I think Tita, I went to her yoga class, and she was like, yeah, she's awesome. And one of the things she said was, your body is your home.
Yeah.
And, like, when I think about that, it makes me kind of emotional, because I think that it's so true. And if we learn to listen to our bodies, we can tell when these things are coming up for us, like, hey, that's a red flag. Like, something is not right within me.
Yeah. And and that's actually, so, like, when we've had experiences of people in our lives, particularly attachment figures, hurting us, we've internalized that message, you know, that maybe we're unworthy, or maybe we are, you know, oh, this is just the status quo, is that I'm going to get hurt, or I'm going to, you know, always be hurting. And I think that's a huge thing to undo in therapy, is like, how are you relating to yourself? Are you actually continuing to do what was done to you before, in terms of the way you treat yourself and the way you treat your home?
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a big question for therapy that is hard to navigate alone.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a big thing, especially with relational trauma, is that you've had this experience with another human being, and it's experiential. And on some levels, or in a lot of levels, like, we learn through experiences, and then therapy is a space to kind of learn a new reality through the experience of being in a relationship with another person. And I think that's what's so helpful about it. And this, you know, people, I think, also have these experiences with partners or loved ones when they finally find someone they feel really safe with, where they kind of start to shift and go, oh, okay, this is what it feels like to be safe. You know?
Totally.
And it's like, it's life-changing. It really is. It becomes a new normal.
Yeah.
So I think that's, but the relationship to yourself, and, like, the relationship to others, and that internalization of, you know, what's happened before, like, through relationship, those are all huge pieces. And comes up in different ways for different people.
It's so powerful, the relationship with your therapist, and how empowering and transformative that can be.
Totally.
So I'm curious, for people watching who are at home right now, what are some tips or strategies that you could give the viewers on how to deal with some of their symptoms that are coming up?
Sure.
That might be helpful.
Yeah. So I think containment is a really big thing. Yeah. Containment, grounding, and also allowing space for expression. So the way that those fit together, one, I think it's helpful to try to find a way to get out whatever is going on into a specific space. So typically I use more creative approaches for things like that. So we might make like a box where you write down all the feelings you're feeling or the things that are really challenging, and you put them in the box with the promise of returning to it later. And on the outside of the box, you might decorate that with things like ways that you're coping with it just in the here and now. So you kind of make that piece tangible, like what kind of self-care you might be doing to just get through it.
Yeah.
So containers work best when we have the promise that we're going to return to them later. So I think that's a big piece. It could also be like a piece of paper and you just write things out. It could be a collage. It could be just color, like coloring your feelings. And so it's part expression, but also part containment.
Yeah.
Some people also benefit from doing more of a visualization. So they might visualize like all these different feelings, putting them in a jar, and then like putting them on a shelf. So they might do like that visualization before they go to work, for example. So that's more like, those are just some strategies that I find to be helpful. And sometimes, you know, when starting with clients, we might say, okay, like this therapy room is a container, so let's make use of that. Like, let's let it all out. Let's let the stuff out here. Let's let it air out. Let's maybe identify one thing to work with, kind of proceed gingerly, and then we figure out how do we put it all back in a box, or just leave it here in general. So when you walk out the door, you can just keep your armor up if you need it. You know, use it for the time being, knowing that there will come a point where the other strengths and sources of resiliencies and just resources will get stronger, that you don't have to wear so much armor. So containment is, I think, a big thing, and people do that in different ways. Even journaling is a great way to contain.
Yeah, I love containment because I think a lot of clients, some of them will come in and be like, I feel like I want to vomit because I know that I'm going to be talking about really hard things.
Yes.
And sometimes when I leave therapy, I feel worse than I did when I first came in. I think that's a real thing.
I think it's definitely a real
helping
thing.
clients practice containment around that and know that they don't have to go out into the world carrying this with them all the time. And in fact, that's probably not a safe thing for them.
Right.
You know?
Right. I mean, a lot of us live in worlds where we have to put our armor on, you know, and we have to go out and do the thing, whatever the thing is, you know, whether it's work or being a parent or staying in this relationship until you can figure out how to leave. I mean, we do have things we just kind of have to do sometimes. And so containment is huge. But if we never actually revisit the things that we contain, then that's where stuff just, you know, kind of like bleeds out, if you will. Like it kind of overflows.
Looping back is so important.
Yes, big time. So grounding, that's another huge piece. So that's where you might contain things in order to like just practice, like, how do you get grounded? What does it feel like in your body whenever you practice grounding? That kind of thing, just to strengthen that as a resource. So some of the exercises that I might have clients do.
Can you show me?
Well, sure.
Let's do a grounding activity. I don't know.
Well, I have a couple.
Okay,
so, like,
show me one.
One or
whatever. Whatever feels good. I want to practice.
Okay. Okay, so
because I do this with clients too, and I think it's but I don't never do it on myself.
I kind of have one I made up.
Okay.
I made it up in the car one day.
Let's do it.
It's kind of like a combo of breathing and a body scan.
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
Okay. So, find a comfortable place to just sit, and if you'd like to close your eyes, feel free to do so. And just start by noticing your breath. And on the next inhale, take in a deep breath and imagine that the breath is traveling all down through your body, through your legs, and to your feet. And exhale. And the next breath, take a deep breath into your knees. And exhale. Next, take a deep breath into your hips. And exhale. Take a deep breath into your belly. And exhale. Take a deep breath into your chest. And exhale. And take a deep breath into your throat. And exhale. And take a deep breath into your head. And exhale. And for the last breath, just imagine that you're taking a deep breath into the space above your head. And when you're ready, you can come back into the space.
That was awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah, that was so good.
What did you notice? So this is what I might ask a client actually. What did you notice?
I actually could see that when I was breathing in, I could see it happening. Mm-hmm. Like I was actually picturing my knees. I was picturing my belly. I was picturing my throat. And kind of when you said throat, I kind of felt like I was gasping a little bit, but I wasn't. Like it was me. I was, it was my air. So I don't know. I just felt in control of my body, you know, and I felt like, it was really awesome.
Did you notice any parts being easier to breathe into rather than other parts?
The neck up.
Was easier?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, of course, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Because I live in my head a lot. But, like, that feels easier to me.
Well, I find it's really fascinating because different clients will say different things, you know, and depending on the kind of trauma that a person has, like, they may feel stuck in certain areas of their body or not connected to certain areas of their body. So I really love this breathing exercise because the grounding piece of just even thinking about your feet, that's always one of my go-tos with clients is like, if you can't even think about breathing, just like think of your feet.
Yeah.
That's grounding in and of itself. But so I like that there's this aspect of connecting with the different parts of your body and being grounded in that way, but also identifying what's easy, what's hard, you know, and how do you, because sometimes some people have, well, this part was easy and this part was easy, but the middle was hard. And so you might imagine like breathing in and connecting those parts. And so I just think it's a really useful tool for, you know, identifying what works and what helps. So do what works when you're feeling freaked out, you know, or you're having a hard day. Do what works. You know, if breathing in your head works, like, do it, and then stretch yourself in those calmer places. Like, okay, I'm going to try breathing into my feet a little bit more. So that's probably my favorite.
Thanks for
breathing exercise.
Yeah, that was great.
So, or grounding exercise. Yeah.
Well, Natalia, I really appreciated you coming. Where can people find you?
Oh, yeah.
So, like, where are all the places?
All the places.
And, you know, maybe tell us about, are you accepting new clients right now?
I am accepting new clients. I also should mention I work in Central Austin, so that's pretty convenient for a wide variety of people to get to. And
what part of Central Austin?
Medical Parkway.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's near Central Market.
Yeah, near Central Market.
Okay.
On North Lamar.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. And yep. So I'm accepting new clients. What else did you ask me?
And
how to find me?
How to find you, and what are your fees?
Oh yeah. So my full fee is $125. and I do accept some sliding scale spots.
Okay.
And I also will work with CVC if somebody doesn't, if they have CVC and they
Crime
don't have
victims compensation.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
And if they don't have insurance, because
Okay.
crime victims comp is a payer of last resort. So if you have insurance, they want you to use your insurance first. But
Okay.
I am willing to do the paperwork and stuff and work with clients around that. So yeah,
that's so good. And then yeah, tell us where people can find you.
Yeah, so my website is nataliaamari.com.
Okay.
I'm sure you'll have like something with that.
I will put that in the show notes, and yes, I will give you guys all the information.
Yeah, and then on there I have links to my social media, different social media accounts as well. So on website, or what am I saying on website? On Facebook, cut that out.
Good.
I'm on Facebook.
Yeah.
I think Natalia Amari ATX is the
Your
ending,
handle, okay.
but you could probably just search for me. It's probably the most reliable way.
Yeah.
On Instagram, my handle is SpicyFemmeATX. And what else am I on? I'm not on Twitter. Oh, I'm on Google Plus, but no, very few people are on Google Plus.
Yeah, and you guys check out our Instagram. It's like really awesome. I feel like you give so many good tips and just your images and
Thank you.
That it's just very practical and easy to follow. I feel like, when you give too many big words and big concepts, it's just hard. So I think it's like so beautiful and so easy to follow, which I love.
Thank you so much.
I'll include all that information in the show notes. But thank you so much, Natalia.
Thank you.
This is awesome.
I'm so honored.
I'm so glad you came. Thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you next time.